Hey guys, Jack the Real Estate Dog and I are on location in the most beautiful wooded path that we've just been walking here for a few minutes, and we're gonna walk it again and just talk. You know, this morning I had a great experience, just discovered a book by Bill Lee. It's a PDF. You can find it if you're interested in the Wesley Chapel area at all by just Googling the history and heritage of Wesley Chapel. And Bill Lee's got a free PDF. Man, he lives around here, he's very learned, and you know, hearing about the history of Wesley Chapel going all the way back to the Revolutionary War is fascinating. And so I just said, hey, let me go walk this area. I mean, for instance, we're in the middle of a bunch of woods, and Patty and I were out looking at a lot yesterday, and we saw a lady walking her dog through the woods, and we stopped and said, hey, and she told us, hey, this is the Price Mill subdivision. And so they've got about 30 acres of HOA space that they've preserved. So we found a little path today, and Jack and I are walking it. He, of course, loves it. So the name Price. If you've ever been at Weddington Road, which is 84, right there at Waxhaw Indian Trail, it's where the Seiler Presbyterian Church is. The Target's in that center. Very, very lovely place. Very cool. I mean, there's a lot of shopping there, you know, the pharmacies, the groceries and all that. Well, if you come, you know, east maybe a mile or so, you'll see that big house on the left. It's built in 1906. That's the Price home place is what they called it. And the Price family is very, very important in the history of Union County, particularly Wesley Chapel. Now there is a Monroe address. Wesley Chapel did have their own post office many, many years ago. Guess who was in charge of that? I know, the Prices, right? And so it's just a very cool history to this place. And so Pinnacle at Wesley Chapel, Taylor Morrison's 55 plus, is bordering up against this, and Mill Creek. Now there is an actual Mill Creek. How did Mill Creek get its name? Price had a grist mill, and it was built right on a little creek, which we're just very close to. In fact, I've encountered a couple of different water walkovers. They could be just drainage culverts feeding into Price Creek, and Price Creek does go into 12 Mile Creek. That's down where Steph Curry had his house, sold now in Skycroft. So we're basically Union County, south of Charlotte and east. And so I'm right in the middle of some beautiful woods. Man, if you lived here, wouldn't you want to walk these woods with your dog? Jack is just having a blast. So Mr. Price, there's obviously a number of Mr. Prices, going back to the 1700s and the Revolutionary War, etc. And they basically settled. Now, here in this area, the Waxhaw Indians, so we get to name the town Waxhaw. The Waxhaw Indians were here first. When the European settlers came, there was a smallpox outbreak, and the Native Americans did not really have the resistance to that. So hundreds of them were lost in that. And so the settlers that came to settle, they were entrepreneurs like Mr. Price. He had a grist mill right here on Price's Mill. In fact, the area before it was called Wesley Chapel was called Price's Mill, even on some of the old maps. Very interesting. But there's a huge history that, you know, that Seiler Presbyterian Church you look at it and it looks like it's got an interesting history about it. So right here is one of those culverts that I was talking about. Probably feeds right into the Price's Creek. If it isn't Price's Creek, I don't think it is. Wow, I'm just kind of overwhelmed. Honestly, just reading this stuff was fascinating, all the generations. So the Prices were entrepreneurs. Not only did they have a cotton gin and a grist mill, there's a lot of farming going on around here. Cotton primarily, but other grains as well, small grains. You ain't going nowhere, Jack. And so even right there, we're Pinnacle at Wesley Chapel. So that house right at built in 1906, the big house that's still there, that's been in the Price legacy of family for generations. Prices were born in that house. And so, but some of this land obviously has been sold off. As I said, Taylor Morrison just pulled off about 24 acres for that 55 plus neighborhood. And there's another 20-acre tract right next to that, and another 16 acres, another 40. So there's still land there. And I'll bet you that those people are having the builders knock on their doors every day, because total of about maybe 82 acres if you assemble them. But anyway, I'm enjoying walking through the woods. That's all I'm telling you. But the history of Wesley Chapel is real interesting, tied in not only to Seiler Church, but also to Wesley United Methodist, hence the name Wesley Chapel, because the Wesley Chapel United Methodist was basically birthed here, named after the preacher named John Wesley. Now, another thing interesting is the development of the schools. Historical markers, even like where the high school is, interesting. Jack, are you having a good walk, pal? He's enjoying this. You know, we got woods on all sides of us. Just real pretty woods. I'm not sure who owns this property. My guess is this is the HOA of Mill Creek, that 32 acres that I mentioned that they pulled aside for a walking trail. And so the churches and the schools, they just tied in, buildings coming up, going down, very friendly interchange between the church community and the school community, because guess what? The prices were, you know, elders in the church as well as on the school board. You know, I'm thinking it was all tied in. It was a community, but just a really neat area. And now that it's all developed, I'm sure for people that have been here all their lives, they might be thinking, hey, I wish it was like it was. People like me who moved south, you know, 12 years ago, I'm thinking, wow, this is a neat place to be near or to be in. And so we do have a lot of housing developments and so on. So, you know, when I look at a field, I look and say, hey, Patty, that's a subdivision right there, meaning I'm going to be able to sell some houses in there. The other side is, if you live there, you're thinking, dang, I wish we could just keep some of this land and just enjoy it for ourselves. But anyway, that's just the nature of real estate. Now here's another boundary here and a walkover. I don't think this is Price Creek, but it could be, right? It could be. So there it is, just walking over a small a bridge type covering, and their house is on the right. So guys, if you're in the market for a new house, you want to give me a call at 704-345-3400 if you're thinking about relocating to Charlotte. Here's a tip for you. If you happen onto a subdivision, like for instance, Bent Creek, I got a call today, and I was asked, why is Bent Creek popular in my mind, and also my other agents, because I don't know, there's just something about it, we like it. Well, it wasn't too long ago, a couple months, that Jack and I went over to Bent Creek. We knew there were walking trails, but we had never walked them. So we got a video of us walking in Bent Creek. It was really fun. So what you might do, if you're doing your research, and I know you are, is just to get out and walk around. You know, walk around. Walk around. Here's another culvert or drainage. I'm guessing that this comes out of the neighborhood, you know, from their storm sewer, and comes down here towards the creek, which again feeds into 12 Mile Creek. Guys, living in the Charlotte area is fabulous, and Wesley Chapel is a great area as well. So we'd love to help you, 704-345-3400. And Jack, did you have anything else that you wanted to say, Jack, to your people, to your fans? You're not being stuck up, are you? You have anything to say? No, he's sniffing and playing. Jack, place. Do you have anything to say to your people? Are you enjoying the walk? Oh, that's my boy. We'll see you in the next video.